Our next company presenter this evening is BioLargo, and presenting on their behalf is the company's CEO, Mr. Dennis Calvert. Dennis.
All right. Hey, thank you, everybody. It's great to be here, and really, what a great group of companies. I mean, it's pretty remarkable. I'm glad to be here. We've got a great story. It's over 10 years in the making. It's going to be one of those 10-year overnight success stories. And it's a great time in the company. Of course, we'll notice the safe harbor statements. We're a public company, symbol BLGO. Our slogan is really simple. We make life better, right? Easy. No, it's not easy. It's actually quite a challenge. But we're focused on sustainable innovation for a clean water, clean air, and a cleaner earth. All sustainable, primarily environmental. And this is a very exciting time because we're watching a number of technologies and solutions come to market. It's the best time in the history of the company, and we think the future is imminent and right in front of us in a big way. When you think about the company and you analyze it, there's a lot going on. You're going to see that. And we're going to break them down a little bit so you get a flavor for it. And really, I would suggest you think about it in two groups. An environmental group, and then we have a medical company. And so how does that work? Well, the medical company was a spin-off developed as a subsidiary for spin-off. It's not spun off yet, with a piece of the technology that came from the portfolio. We have actually a suite of technologies. It started with one. We now have about 7. Each of these are in different stages of innovation as well as commercial adoption. They're all significant. We think we've just scratched the surface. The environmental group is really where we focus our investment, significant investment, to develop solutions for some of the greatest problems that face our planet. And we're going to talk about some of those, and we got a couple of big ones. At BioLargo, we don't have one tiger by the tail. We have about 4. We're doing a lot. We got an extraordinarily talented group of people, which we're going to talk about in great detail. So let's back up. We just covered a lot in all that little statement. So let's reframe it so you really can track. This is science and engineering focused on big problems that face our planet, and we have major catalysts that are occurring as we speak. Some are under contract, some are just about to go commercial, and any one of them move the needle in a big way. We want to talk about that. Okay, let's start with the biggest one, PFAS. Everybody know what PFAS is? PFAS, per and polyfluoroalkyl substances. It's a mouthful. That's the nonstick coatings that were used for 35 years. Major producers who've been sued now all over the world produce these chemicals. They put them in products like food packaging and food and cosmetics and carpets, and now they're all over the world. You know the movie Dark Waters? Anybody know Dark Waters? Came out about 2.5, 3 years ago. That's the story of Robert Bilott. Robert Bilott took on DuPont, won in a class action suit. It's multi-billion. They just filed another class action naming 7 million plaintiffs in a class action. If you study PFAS and you look at it, you'll see it's the contaminant of the decade. It's been used for 35 years. As it turns out, when you take a little bit of something and you put it in everything for 35 years, and nature can't break it down because it's built to be like a fortress, it will last forever. That's a big problem. It's been linked to birth defects and cancer. It's one of the top agenda items on the EPA. The Biden administration, in the 3rd day of office, announced a sweeping reform to go after PFAS offenders and cleanup. Where our corporate office is in Orange County, California, we have offices now all over the world. We've got an R&D center up in Edmonton. We've got an engineering group in Tennessee. We've got a medical company headquartered out of Florida. When you look at all these groups, we're doing quite a bit of work. And, of course, virtual. We do a lot of think tank work. Smart people working together to pull off these solutions. In California, where our headquarters is, within a 15 to 20-minute radius of our office, PFAS solutions will require $1.5 billion in investment within 45 minutes of my office. Okay? It's a global problem. It's identified as one of the top ecological disasters of the decade, recent history, estimated to be about a $60 billion market. That's number one. Number 2, one of our products that we developed about 8 years ago went commercial. I'm going to show you some pictures. A product called Cupridyne Clean. It's a chemistry product. So we designed the chemistry, we patented all around it, and we discovered that it was really, really good for odor control. It's an oxidizer, breaks down odorous compounds instantly on contact. ecologically safe, safe for your skin, safe for your body, incredible product. We went commercial through the industrial space. We've been selling now to the major waste handling companies for about 8 years. We've won major accounts. We're major municipal accounts, all over California especially, where we've got a high concentration of density. And we're breaking records. I'm going to show you those revenue records in a minute. Anyway, long story short, a group came to us called Ikigai, and they're a marketing company, and they said, we want to do a deal. So we did what's called a white label. A white label means that we manufacture the product, they own the brand, we receive a percentage of sales as a markup off cost of wholesale, we also get a royalty on sales, and then we negotiated for 20% of their brand exit, The team at Ikigai Holdings helped launch products like Febreze, Copperfit, Swiffer, Zevo, a whole cadre of national brands that are in the billions. Very important you get that. The last product that they worked on was a product called Flawless. Everybody seen the commercial for Flawless? It's a little hair remover. It's sold on infomercials. It went big mass retail. Flawless, eventually, 2.5 years, had an exit for $475 million. I want you to get this magnitude. This is now positioned for retail adoption. It broke all records. Ikigai Holdings was just named as a winner of a big award, prestigious award in the field for the most successful infomercial in this recent period. It launched in December, and they're breaking records every month. This is a big deal for us. And it's an extension of over 10 years of work of becoming particularly expert at how to deal with odor. And we are expert. We know how to make it, we know how to make it go away, we know how to clean it up, and we've been doing it for industry now for over 8 years, and it's the culmination of all that hard work that made that possible. A data set that's so robust it'll choke a horse. About 1.5 years ago, we entered into a partnership with Garrett Callahan. Garrett Callahan is the largest privately held water company in North America. Did you catch that? Largest privately held water company in North America. The business deal is really simple, right? They have a 107-year history, something like that, 108, something like that. They have a national footprint. They have probably 20,000 customers. And they came to us and said, we have an idea. If you'll make it, we'll sell it. It took me 2 seconds to say yes. Okay, that sounds good. We need to do that. That product's about to launch. They're anticipating sales between 100 and 500,000, 30 to 50 units. We're in commercial trials. We just completed our validation testing. The first account's probably about $1 million account. Customers already identified. Systems are being built, and we're going into the field to do that work with the client. This is a great situation because if you think about our company, we've got incredible toolkit in our tool bag, all these technologies. We have expertise to deliver those tools. That's in the talent. What are we missing? Distribution. So BioLargo is a company that will partner its way to significance. In each of these, what you're going to notice is a business strategy, right? A business strategy that leverages the tools of our partner in a way that most companies can't. And as we always say, that's what we do. Not as an afterthought. No. It's the strategy. And I want to show you how that's, and it's taken a long time, but I'm going to show you how it's rolling out. We have a fourth catalyst. This was announced in a public announcement just about a week ago. The market's having a hard time getting their head around it. So we're going to talk about it for a second because it's early stage, but it's a relationship that's brand new. We were selected and contracted as an EPC developer. So think about this, a project that's going to happen, it's in the process, of a waste-to-energy conversion. That means you're going to take waste, you're going to convert it to an energy-generating machine, pump energy into the grid. We were selected by the developer, which is the financing group, to run the project. So we're like the general contractor. You got to kind of get your head around that, right? So what are we doing? Well, we're going to run it for them. Why are we selected? Because they have more projects than they have people. We have people. We have skill and knowledge of how to do this. So the first project is feasibility. In the engineering speak, the feasibility really means the roadmap. We're doing the roadmap for the client now. We're going to get paid. The design portion alone, I just want to point out, that's about 4 steps. To get through the design is about a 2-year process. The design steps, those 4 steps, will generate $50 million in revenue. $50 million. You got to get your head around it. So now, What does it not mean? I want to be really clear. Each step has to be achieved to get to the next step. That's the way it works. Sort of like building a house. You don't give your contractor all the money. You put down a foundation first, you get your permitting, then you put a wall, then you put a window, then you put a roof. It's just like this. The distinction is this will be over $500 million. So this is a significant advancement in our business model because it really represents an acknowledgement of the talent that's at BioLargo. Also, it's a perfect spot for many of our technologies. Don't miss that. But when we take on a role like this, we really serve as a fiduciary. You know, the way we think about it is if I have the tool in my toolkit, great. If I don't, I'll get somebody else's. And if nobody else has one, we'll invent one. That's what makes us unique. 4 years ago, we were doing a development project with a 55,000-man global multinational, and they had a meltdown. They lost a $2.3 billion lawsuit, and 17,000 people were laid off on one Friday afternoon. And I went to the environmental team that we were working with, who are technical experts who've worked all over the world, and said, "What you gonna do?" They said, "What you got in mind?" I said, "You know, we should form our own engineering group." We brought an entire team into BioLargo as a small emerging tech company, as a solution provider group, to not only help us with our innovation, scaling up our innovation that we already had, but to continue innovating and serve clients. That's 3 masters. It's a big job. They're really busy. I mean, it's unbelievable how busy they are. So we have world-class names. We're now currently providing air quality control, monitoring, and support for the United States Air Force. Here's the deal. If you can work for the Air Force, you can work for anybody. That's just the reality, right? So we've got the credentials to compete at the highest level, and what we present in a competitive field is the idea that we serve our customers first with a toolkit that's the cutting edge of innovation and the flexible business model that most engineering firms can't even think of. And that gives us a significant competitive edge. This PFAS thing is a forever chemical project that's going to go on for the next 30 years. If it took 30 years to get there, it'll probably take 30 years to get it out. Understand that it's not going to go away overnight. It's almost like a Superfund remediation site. Now in Orange County Water District reports there's about 47 wells that are contaminated. They estimate the budget at about $1.5 billion. That's just Orange County, California. This is everywhere. Check your news. Look up on the internet, PFAS. It's going to blow your mind if you don't know about it. And it's happening all over the world. Any industrialized nation with nonstick coatings, any industrial production, they're going to have nonstick coatings. What's the technology? Okay, so I'm going to give you a light dive. I'm not a technologist. I work with some brilliant people, and so I have the privilege of sitting there and watch them talk about all this science and engineering. When the PFAS crisis first started, goes back with that movie, because the movie really put it on the map. You know, we sit around and we're always looking out for the cutting edge. That's what we do. And we said to ourselves, we need to bring a solution to bear. So the engineers came to me and said, well, and I say this because it's kind of like this, if it were me, here's what I'd do. Right? That's how it starts. Okay? Now, most companies can't do that. It's like from there to success is, oh my gosh, how do you do that? And you're busy and you got clients, and you got existing technology. That's what we do every day. We say, what could we do if we had the time, money, energy to get through the development cycle? We wrote a grant. We got a grant from the US EPA for the phase 1 SBIR, and we proved out the concept. The results were so successful, we said, hey, you know what? We're onto something. And so we started this development track. Now here's the thing. We developed it on our time frame and our budget and our resources. We didn't go raise a couple $1 million. We said, no. We've already got the infrastructure. We just need to prove it. Build it up while we're serving clients and building mass. So the technology itself is so simple in concept. It's this artful concept of having a flow of water flow through an electric cell and then having a PFAS molecule that has a charge migrate through the liquid to its opposite charge to be collected on a membrane. That sounds pretty easy, right? Okay, it's not that easy. There's pressure, there's how long will it last, how do you clean it, what kind of materials, right? What kind of sources of water, there's all these variables. But the concept is you migrate to its opposite polar of an electromagnetic field. Guess what? It works. And what it allows us to do is selectively extract the PFAS, selective. Why is that important? Look at the last image on the bottom right. The competition, which is primarily carbon and anion exchange resins, ends up with a truckload of carbon because it can't selectively extract the PFAS. It takes out everything. Well, guess what? PFAS is now designated as hazmat. What are you going to do with all that carbon? The industry's already installing those systems, which are old technology. We come in with a new technology that allows us to concentrate and selectively extract, which means that we can concentrate the material into a small footprint and to deal with the disposal in any way the government tells us. We have become the most excellent PFAS collector in the world. That's what we have on a market that's estimated to be an $80 billion a year market. The innovation has now gone through commercial trials with one of the leading water districts in the world. I'm going to show you that data. Garrett Callen, we talked about. POOF. Covered a lot of territory on the early slides. This is our odor and VOC control. I'm going to get down to the innovation. Odor and VOC control is about an 8-year-old company, very high margin. That's that odor control product that's also got a retail channel under license. Those are devices for our experiments and commercial work in the field, working with all the major waste handling companies in the world. We also have an advanced destruction technology for advanced water treatment, removing micropollutants. This technology has received 100 grants. We have an R&D facility in Edmonton, Canada, on the campus of the University of Alberta. There it is going into our first commercial trials. This is not yet commercial. It's coming soon. There we go. So I don't know where the slide happened, but let me tell you about PFAS real quick. In our 10K that we published just a few weeks ago, we disclosed that we have 2 channel partnerships in negotiation for PFAS. Think about the idea. The idea is, what do we have? We've got extraordinary talent in the engineering. We've got scientists, a number of PhDs. We've got 10 years of innovation. We've got a toolkit that can solve great environmental challenges. What's missing? Distribution, okay? So the way we think about it is, we can do 1, we can do 2, we can do 5, but we can't do 1,000, okay? And there's thousands. There's thousands. How do you do thousands? We want to do thousands. We like that idea, right? So how do you do that? Well, you partner with distribution. So you share the prize of a solution with your partner. So how do you get a partner? Well, you need to be a good partner. You need to really know what you're doing. You got to show up and deliver with technology that actually works. We do that. You have to understand how to sell into the market. Our engineers have 30 plus years experience at the highest level, working all over the world. We can do that. We can scale manufacturing because we own the design and the patent. It gives us the ability to scale through subcontracting. We also subcontract with engineers. So, right, so what are we doing, right? We're turning bright ideas into incredible business opportunities through partnership, leveraging a toolkit that's one of a kind. That's what BioLargo is doing, okay? This is organic growth. That's what this represents, because the leverage growth is just now happening. So we've always said, one day, we're going to watch exponential growth happen at this company. We believe that's happening now. So this last quarter, this is year-end. Q1, we also did a press release. We'll surpass all these revenues. It'll be just over the 900,000 mark for the quarter. So it's putting us on a $3.5 to $4 million run rate, something like that. But it's climbing. It's climbing because the partnerships are kicking in. They're already done, right? So go back to the project in South America that we talked about, the waste energy conversion. Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. It's a 2-year cycle. You got to do the work. You don't just get a check. You get hired. You have to earn it. Guess what? It's a $50 million prize. We can earn it. We know what we're doing. We've got the ability to pull that off. We're going to watch that revenue click up. And when you look at the overhead, it's a small company, about 27 people. We've invested about $3.5 million in all of this R&D annually. The 2 operating divisions, which are really commercial, which is the O&M, environmental, and the engineering group, both are teetering right on the edge of profitability. They're also going to experience significant growth, right? And it's happening right in front of us. If you go back to those partnerships, one's about to go commercial. We're working with the federal government and one of the leading innovators in the wastewater treatment, in the water treatment industry as a water district. We also negotiated 2 channel partners. I want to describe that story for you because it's so telling, right? I get a call about 3 months ago, we did a press release that announced the test results for our first commercial trial, and we achieved what's called a non-detect. A non-detect in science terms means that it's at a level below at which science can detect any contamination. Businessman would say, we got it all out. Science guy would say, well, 99.99. Okay, fine, I'll take 99.99. We got that result with one of the leading innovators in the municipal drinking water treatment business in the world. We published it. I get a call from an engineer who says, Dennis, congratulations. I say, thanks, we're going commercial. He says, it looks like you're about ready. I said, yeah, we're really close. He says, well, I have a client. And I tell you this story because people wonder, how do you grow this business? And the answer is, it's just like that. So a highly technical person contacts us because they hear about us and they say, I have a client that needs you. I want to understand exactly what your proposition is, and then they recommend it to the client. That's a channel partner. So we're now focused on channel partnerships for the PFAS solution that will break every segment of the market down into a partnership, like firefighting foams, AFFF, firefighting foams. So that's airports, military bases, like mining. By the way, we have significant roles in mining for a bunch of our technologies, so we'll have to swap stories on that. Municipal drinking water is probably the granddaddy of them all. It's also the most difficult to get into because it's public agency work. Long cycle bids, lots of competition. Every major player in the world is going to compete. Industrial, leachate. Leachate's part of a waste stream that comes out of landfills. It's already a problem. Guess what? Now it has PFAS all in it. It's a hazmat. It's a huge, huge problem, and we're on the cutting edge. You'll also notice that we retired over $7 million in debt. Hence, that'll explain some of the stock performance. You know, when we brought in that engineering firm and said, hey, we got a tiger by the tail, we took extraordinary risk. We had an engineering group that had been employees, worked 20 and 30 years at the highest level. We brought in an entire team all at once, and we didn't have one client. Now we do. We have more clients than we can manage. Thank you. We also have a joint venture with one of the leading wastewater treatment companies in South Korea. We've got business development in Latin and South America of significance. Our stock symbol is BLGO. There's my information. If anybody's interested in our business, I'd love to chat with you. Any questions? Got just a few minutes. We covered a lot. Sure.
I thought I spoke loud. Do you have a focus on nuclear energy or nuclear waste, actually?
So we have a number of nuclear specialists on our team. We actually have a client in the nuclear space now that we're doing engineering work for, primarily focused on the fuel beads. And so yes, we have significant experience. I wouldn't call that a focal point of the company, but we have the expertise and we take the engagement as they come if we have time and resources. So yeah, we know a lot about that. The other thing to remember, and I always say this because you may have heard this first time you've heard of BioLargo, you need to look back. If you say it's not for me, fine. Come back in 6 months because about every 6 months the business is morphing so fast. And we're also innovating. So we have new technologies in the portfolio that we are not disclosing. It will continue to evolve. That's what we do. And we have the think tank to do it. So pretty cool. Any other questions? Yeah? Yeah. The stock's about 19, 20 cents. It's about a $49, $50 million market cap. That's where we're at. Best time in the history of the company. Market's a little tough on everybody right now, but we'll get through it.
I just had a quick comment. I saw a movie regarding the DuPont situation and how bad that was and killing of the animals and the contamination of the water supply. So my comment is just, God bless you guys for coming up with a solution. Thank you.
Yeah, it's funny. I'll tell you back to the origin of the company. I met the leader inventor, who's still with us, Ken Code, was the inventor of the iodine copper complex and a number of the things that we've done. But the business has morphed so dramatically to a whole portfolio, and he's still very active. But when I met him, he described to me the gift that he was given and its purposeful work. And I said, you know, what kind of business is this? We can touch the whole world. The opportunities are endless, and basically you put your career on the line. So that's what we did. So the management team is all in. I've never been a seller. We're all long and strong on the company. But it's been an incredible journey, right, as you can imagine. Because as an innovator, everything that we do almost sounds too good to be true. But it is true, right? And so the trick is not only do you have to prove it, you have to prove it over and over and over and over and over. And then you got to get to regulatory. And then you got to go sell it. And so it's like the medical field. You know, it took us 3.5 years. We invested $3.8 million to get the first product through FDA clearance. $3.8 million, are you kidding me? I mean, crazy difficult barriers to entry. But we have overcome them, and now we're starting to see the fruit of all that investment pay off, which we're really happy for.
One more question?
Well, you've sort of answered my question while I've been waiting here, but just your summary is that you've invested a lot of money and a lot of people just to build up these various technologies without them being profitable yet.
Correct.
But now you're ready to reap the awards, and even if one of the technologies is circumvented by somebody else or whatever, you still have enough to be a very feasible
Right.
organization.
I think so this strategy is a reflection of a conservative strategy that says, I know the innovations are great. I also know how hard it is to get adoption, right? And so we diversified the innovation cycle so that we have multiple shots on goal. We then built a team that's world class. And as a result of that sort of critical mass, we have the ability to hit all the fields necessary to execute on the innovation through commercial adoption, selling it in as a solution provider. Can't say enough. I'll give you an example in the mining field. We have a project work with a client who has a waste mineral deposit that's about 40 acres by 40 feet. And we showed them how to convert that through a chemical engineering design into a pool of magnesium carbonate worth about $1.9 billion. That's what we do. And we can do it over and over and over because we have the talent. So yes, the diversified strategy, and then how do you commercialize? How do you monetize them? Well, you partner with people that know what to do with them. That's what we're doing. We're partnering through these channels. And if you think about it from a financial perspective, it means that at any given moment, none of them have bet the farm on success. Some work, they find their way through, but we're not the bank, right? We've been the R&D bank, we've been the build the team bank, and now we get to leverage those assets through partnerships. We think that's the key. Anything else? Good. Thank you, everybody.